Welcome to VCs Off the Record. This is Real Talk with Real Investors. Your host, Gayle Jennings-O'Byrne, CEO of Wocstar Capital and co-founder of the Wocstar Fund, has spent 30 years in finance. And I'm here too. I'm Victoria Bird. I'm the Chief Content Officer and Creative Director of Wocstar Media. And I've spent 30 years in media. We champion female entrepreneurs, we champion diverse teams, and we're both passionate about stories that change old narratives. We're looking to inform you, inspire you, and help you get your bag and your dreams.
Hey, Victoria.
Hey.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining me for another episode of VCs Off the Record.
I love it.
We love having you here.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to love our guest today.
Yeah.
Mirit Lugassi.
Yeah.
She is kind of a North Star for me. So she's with Laconia Capital. But why she's a North Star is because she is an operator and an investor. And I think that combination is really powerful.
Yeah.
Because they understand how companies have to execute, but she also comes at it with the ability to understand what and where to be investing. It's kind of cool. You'll hear more about it.
That's very cool, because I always think about when I listen to you guys talk, the VCs discuss, is if I, how does somebody come up with this idea? How does somebody come up with the idea, the thing, the product, and then how do they know it's viable? Yeah. And I'm always hearing those tidbits and that roadmap.
Yeah, and the thing, when we'll get into this on the show, but the thing that I am always listening for is not so much the gap in the market, that has to be there, but then is there a market for that gap? Mirit says it beautifully, you'll hear, is market demand. So yes, there's a gap, there's a problem, but is there market demand? So is there a market for the gap that you've identified?
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, I can't wait to hear.
Okay.
This episode of VCs Off the Record is brought to you by Wocstar Ghetto Film School Entrepreneurial Academy.
Hello. Welcome to VCs Off the Record. I'm so excited that you're here, not only because you're a Venture Access Alliance member, thank you, but you're kind of like the North Star for me in some ways of VCs. Yeah, like I'm a fangirl of yours. Yeah, I don't think I've ever told you that. So welcome to the show. I want to start with the meaning of your name. It's beautiful.
Ooh, well, that credit goes to my mom. I think she invented it. My mom had a dream, and she wanted to call me, in the dream, she was going to call me Miriam. That was what the dream was about. And
good biblical name.
Good biblical name. She had an epiphany. It was supposed to be Miriam, but then she was like, I can't call a little girl this time Miriam. So she just gave it a twist. She called it Mirit. And my last name, Lugassi, is actually a city in Spain, which is probably where my ancestors are from. So there's a lot of kind of deep, meaningful.
Oh, I love that. So you truly are a global citizen.
I am.
Raised in Israel.
Yes. So my parents were born in Morocco. I always like to start there because it is my roots. My parents were born in Morocco.
You know, that's one of my favorite places.
Is it?
I've been a couple times.
Yeah. It's so much culture. Like I think I come from like a tribal ancestry. So my parents are from Morocco, moved to Israel in the 60s by the government, had to kind of uproot and restart their life. And then I was first generation Israeli. But I then moved to London and lived there 8 years, met my New Zealand husband. And then we moved here 4 years ago, almost 5, 2 weeks before Como declared shelter in place. So it was a perfect time to be landing in New York, but definitely a global background.
I mean, in some ways, you guys kind of eased into it because it was quiet, everyone was on lockdown.
It was lovely. I mean, bar the global pandemic, we really enjoyed. We almost felt like New York slowed down for us, and we get to meet her kind of step by step.
Yeah, she's reopening.
Yeah, she was reopening slowly for us, and we were fortunate to live in the West Village at the time, so it was beautiful. And yes,
you could walk around.
Yeah, I think it's a very, unique time in the history of New York, and I'm fortunate to have seen it. Yeah.
Fabulous. Now, did work bring you here? Did the venture capital work you do bring you here? And what was your journey to venture capital? I'm so fascinated people's origin stories.
Yes. And I think that the two are probably linked. So I didn't grew up thinking I'll be a venture investor capitalist as a daughter to Moroccans in a very small town in Israel. That's not what you think. I'm actually what today VCs call an operator. So I was an operator. I studied in capital markets. I'm a lawyer in Israel and in New York. I was a startup operator in kind of commercial roles in the fintech space mainly, but also ed tech, social impact, etc.
Hot areas to be in.
Yes. And I think it was through working in a venture-backed startup in that kind of phase of 1 million to 10 million in ARR that I was really fascinated by how fast things can move, how much impact you can create, how much money is going into that space, unauthorized and regulated, as like, it just happens, and then how much innovation and how much smart people are building. And having spent 4 years in one startup, I kind of had a desire to solve more problems in the world, and then fell in love with the idea of how can we shift capital towards solving the world's kind of biggest problems. And I looked around me and I thought the venture space in Europe is great and booming, but is catching up. So I wanted to quit my job, move to New York, and start a whole journey here. And that's what I did. And I've moved here 2 weeks before shelter in place has started. So after a few days in the duvet, crying after what I've done, I actually seized the opportunity. And I think it was a great time to start thinking about these topics. Yeah. And then I started in actually gender smart investing. And social impact investing, really kind of trying to think how can we shift capital for impact. But now I'm at Laconia, which is B2B software, but it's still intentional. So there's how do we move money intentionally is kind of what I'm thinking about. And I joined Laconia about 1.5 years ago. So it's not gender smart, it's not social impact, but I believe you can do everything from, doesn't matter how you call it, you can still do it. So.
That's right. So tell us a little bit about Laconia Capital.
Laconia.
What do they do? What do you guys invest in?
Yes, so Laconia been around for 10 years. We're going to be celebrating our 10-year anniversary next year. Whoop, whoop.
Okay. Send me my invite. I'll be at the party.
Yes. It's going to be big. Jeff loved hosting parties, so 10-year will be amazing. So we're an early stage fund. We do pre-seed and seed investments into B2B software companies, and we call it that are changing the way business is done. So I think what's disruption is constant, and I think what we're trying to do is help businesses kind of navigate that. So any founders that are solving business problems is what we like to do, and then we invest in the early stages of that.
Gotcha. Okay, couple quick questions. What size checks are you guys writing?
Yeah. So because we do pre-seed and seed, it's anywhere between $250K to $1 million, with probably a sweet spot of $250 to $750.
Okay, and you guys doing this across the country, across the globe? Where's your sweet spot?
Yeah, we don't have a geographic limit or focus, but traditionally, because where our networks have been, it has been US and Canada. We do look opportunistically into Europe as well if we can, but really it's about just finding the best founders, building the best companies.
Gotcha. And give me an example of a company that you guys have invested in for our listeners.
Yes. So I guess I'll just say we are sector agnostic, and there has been kind of 3 big buckets we have been looking at traditionally. So it's e-commerce and retail enablement, fintech, which is where I have a lot of experience in. And then more and more, we're very, very excited about the healthcare industry as well. There's a lot of things that to be solved in that industry. And I think data and business processes there, if we can improve them, we can also in turn increase access to health. So those are the 3 buckets that we're excited about. I'll share a recent investment that was mine, maybe.
Yeah. And start us from the beginning. Like, where did you meet the founders?
Yeah.
What was it that
got us excited? Yes. Yeah. So shall I say what they're doing first, or
please? Yeah.
So the investment is in a company called Liquid Donate. So what
Love
they
the
do,
name.
yes.
Not Liquid Death, Liquid Donate.
So they are an inventory management tool for retailers, But what they're doing is they're helping retailers to get rid of excess overstock, which is a hair on fire problem for retailers, avoid and kind of preventing it reaching landfill and ruining the world. So it's a do good, but also do a lot of money. Retailers have more than 800 billion in excess inventory just sitting in their warehouses, and it costs them money to even throw it in landfill.
That's right.
So what Liquid Donut is doing is, on the other side, it is mapping charities and NGOs in America, and they already have more than 3,000 charities, and they itemize it, and they know which charity needs what. Because even on the other side, 60% of what reaches the charities, they end up dumping it themselves because they don't need it, and they don't have anything to do with that. Because everyone thinks about Goodwill. Or,
I was going to say, I thought I was doing good when I went to Goodwill.
Yeah, so everyone goes to their closest and local place, but they don't need everything that's being donated to them. So what they smartly done on the other side and the demand side is itemizing what charities need, and also exposing more charities than what most of Americans know, and then creating this match between retailers who needs to get rid of it, NGOs who need it, and then charging for what's going on in the middle, while it's still cheaper than sending it to landfill. So helping them reduce cost of logistics, but also increase revenue.
Yeah. So innovative. So innovative. How did you meet the founders?
The story on how we met the founders actually is related to the Venture Cooperative. So quick plug.
Okay, Venture Access Alliance. Love it.
So the Laconia is running a program called the Venture Cooperative, and it's a 6 weeks program. We have fellows. These are people who want to learn about the venture space. They join for 6 weeks, and we teach them about the venture capital space and about Laconia's investment thesis, investment process. How do we support companies? How do we invest? And after 3 years, Jerry has built the program. After 3 years, we have more than 1,200 fellows that have gone through the program.
This is amazing. And this is why I'm so glad you're in the Venture Access Alliance, because you guys having this program, Venture Cooperative, is modeling for all of us how we should be engaging with the entrepreneurship community. I love this. So,
I love it as well.
You guys are touching thousands of entrepreneurs. It's
and
amazing.
There's only 4 of us. Which is incredible. So and it came off of the, kind of your idea for the podcast, right? How do we spread more information? How do we demystify venture? The podcast is a way to do it at scale, which is brilliant. And we were also thinking, what is a way that we can do it at scale as well?
Which is brilliant.
And each kind of, there's been 7 cohort. There's about 200 students that we can take each time. So it's great. It's a one-to-many approach. Everything is recorded, so it's all scalable and and shareable. And people have gone to create their own funds, to raise capital for their own businesses, and even to create a venture cooperative program in Europe. So it has a butterfly knock-on effect. And one of the benefits of having the venture cooperative, apart from what we give to the industry, is that means we have 1,200 people who know our investment thesis. So if founders are trying to reach us, they could do so through venture fellows. So Liquid Donut came through a venture fellow who sent me the email and her pitch deck and said, she's an awesome founder. This is what she's building. I think you'll like it. It took me a moment to kind of take a take on it. I was like, NGO, is this a business? Is there money here? Is this social impact? Are we hugging trees? What's going on?
But I love that. It was like, it sparked your curiosity. I love that. Right?
Absolutely. Because after you're seeing 60 decks a week.
A day sometimes.
Exactly. And then suddenly you're seeing something that makes you take a double take. Wait, what? What is she doing? I really want to figure it out. And then you're looking at her background. So you know that she's not, there must be something there. I need to be curious and understand it. And that's how we get to meet Disney.
Wow. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. What advice would you have for someone that wants to be invested in by you guys?
So I think in terms of reaching us, we're quite open, hopefully. So they can reach us through, we have our kind of an inbound form that they can reach us. We try.
And is that on your website?
Yes.
What's the website address?
LaconiaCapitalGroup.com.
Okay, perfect. And we're going to put all that in
Amazing.
through all our socials so everyone will have it.
So it's very clear on our website. We also try to be very transparent. So actually, if someone wants to really understand how we think, what our investment process is, and what we look for in founders, we have done a 4-series blog where we talk about this is our investment thesis, here's our parameters, and this is what we look for in founders. So founders who really want to get to know us, we kind of outlined it all there.
Oh, I love that.
In terms of what we're looking for, because again, and the mission of trying to demystify venture and giving people the best shot of meeting us. That's so that's there on the website. It's our playbook.
I love that. I think I'm saying Wocstar Fund, we could probably do better at that because I do see a lot of times on websites that there's all these lovely SEO marketing buzzwords, but it's still like, okay, what do you invest in?
Yes, we even have, our check size
Give
there.
me a checklist of what.
Exactly.
So
we like to put our check size there so people know what we lead, co-lead, and follow. So we make sure that we write that. It's kind of like, what are we looking for, etc. So I think hopefully a lot of there is there, so founders can read that, and then if it resonates, they can say, yay, I wanna come to Laconia. And then we try to make ourselves accessible as much as possible, similar to you. You were doing office hours, etc. We like to do mentor hours, office hours, whether it's through the Venture Access Alliance, whether it's through other groups that are hosting mentorship and social hours.
Yeah.
And then I guess
for the advice. Yeah.
The advice. So I guess the advice. Maybe I'll say what we're looking for, and maybe that will be helpful. So I guess we are looking for founders that have identified a business problems and they can prove a market demand for it. In the case of Disney from Liquid Donate, she knew exactly how big the problem is for retailers. Luckily for her, we've been looking in that space for a while, so we knew exactly that. Yeah. So identifying a real business problem and that has a market demand to it. And then what is your unique insight into that problem? So it's kind of like, why now, why you? Those are the best founders that we see a great fit. So show us that it's a big problem with market demand. You are the person to solve it. And then why is the way that you're suggesting is the right way for it?
Yeah. I really appreciate you saying that, particularly the part where you kept coming back to market demand, because you see a lot of gaps in markets. But the thing that I'm always looking for and talking to founders about is, regardless if there's a gap in the market, is there a market for that gap?
Exactly.
And so you said it another way, which is there true market demand? So yes, you see a problem, you have a solution, but
will people want to pay for it? Exactly. Because I think one thing about Laconia's DNA is that we are all operators or founders ourselves. So we've all built and scaled companies before. Both David and Jeff had built companies before, myself included, all in the kind of commercial strategy roles. So we know go-to-market strategies. So one of the things that I personally always look for is, how are we going to reach go-to-market here? And are there enough customers who would stop everything that they're doing to pay to solve this problem? Because there's a lot of gaps in a lot of industries.
That's right.
But sometimes if you look at the market, the incentives are such that no one can win. And that's annoying. And that means that maybe venture capital can't solve it, and we need something else to move forward before. And also, who is the right customer to solve it? Because if you look at the healthcare, you have the payers, you have the clinicians, you have the patients, you have the providers. It's between all of them, there's a gap, but then who should be the customer paying for it? That always excites us when someone is onto something.
Yeah, that's interesting you say about who should pay for it, because that's the other side of it is, I think everyone, particularly, you see like an HR-related tech, and people are like, yeah, and corporations are going to pay for this. And it's like, are they?
Exactly.
Like, that's the default that the employer would pay for that, but is that always the case? So I love that you raise those questions with the entrepreneurs. Where do you hang out?
Where do I hang out?
Yeah, like are there key conferences? Are you a SoCap? Are you a South by Southwest?
Yeah, actually.
Are you running around healthcare?
Yes, that's actually such a good question. Actually, traditionally, we haven't been. New York is such a massive hub for tech. We haven't really had to go to the big conferences, South by Southwest, etc. We also now, post COVID, a lot of stuff can be done online. So actually, sometimes I feel it's a waste of my time trying to go there to meet founders. We're here for New York Tech Week. I like to go to FinTech Week. A lot of people come from out of town. We always host events during those times. We try to make ourselves accessible to the community that way, and then folks come in that way. And I think also what we do at Top of Funnel in terms of brand awareness, the venture cooperative, we're active in social media. Jerry has massive followings on Twitter. I like to do LinkedIn. So we try to be accessible online as well, because I don't know, these conferences, I'm in two minds of them. They're great for me for networking with other investors from this space and for kind of learning top of mind topics for my investment thesis.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're great for me to meeting founders. And if what I want to do is meet founders, I'm trying to make myself accessible in other ways. Because for a founder to book tickets, go all the way. So
it's expensive for them.
It's expensive.
It's expensive. Really prioritize which ones.
And it's not the right time to meet an investor because you won't be pitching them then. So we try to make ourselves
and you guys are really good about being active in the community. Like I see you guys have different events.
Yes, we try and do it that way. But there is power in convening. I just came back from the All Raise conference in SF, and this was the power of convening, meaning other female GPs and female LPs, and kind of building connections.
I'm feeling like I missed out. Erica from Rain Ventures was there too. Next year, All Rise people, invite me. I will come.
Oh, of course. You should be the guest of honor. Should be on stage.
Erica was on her way out there, and I was like, I've always thought about going, and I haven't gone. So next year, I promise I will be there. Tell me this. What's the best way to get a hold of you? You said you're a LinkedIn girl?
Yes.
I know you guys have your form online.
Yes, exactly.
But if there was another way to
the form online,
figure out how to hang with you, see what you're doing.
Yes, the form online definitely, and then LinkedIn. I always post there and everything. Like this Thursday, I'm doing Next NYC. Charlie O'Donnell is doing every month coffee meetups, and he always asks. It's a neighborhood coffee meetup, so founders can come and meet in the neighborhood. Typically, it's two investors and a lot of founders. They're doing a great job. I typically try and do it once a month. So this Thursday, 8:30 in the morning, we're going to be in Chelsea. And Ellie from Torch Capital will be joining me. So if you're in New York, sign up. I think there's a bit more spots.
Very cool. And there's more of those. I mean, you guys have them throughout the year.
Yes, they're every month. So if you miss out on those, and also they happen in 5 locations across New York. So Brooklyn, Prospect Park, Uptown, everywhere.
Fabulous. Tell me this. Are you guys hands-on with entrepreneurs? Because you guys are all operators. So I would imagine you guys are getting your hands dirty and getting in there and trying to help them execute. What does that look like?
Yeah, 100%. So I think we're investing in the early stage, pre-seed and seed, where I think hands-on support is needed to make sure that you kind of reach that A. I think the 3 main buckets we like to work with founders is first, sales acceleration. So all of us have built sales team, managed sales team, created quota carrying roles. So we really like to help figure out, shall I hire a VP of enterprise sales now, or shall I wait? Shall I be leading deals? Sales acceleration, operational execution. Once founders join the Laconia team, they have a 1-hour onboarding call with us, and we've done a big checklist of everything you need to think about, from having your insurance and tax done to how to run a board meeting with some board examples of decks, and how to onboard new investors. So just kind of best practices. You can use it if you want. You don't have to use it if you don't want to, but it's just a resource for you to think of corporate governance, calendars, marketing, media, all the stuff that maybe you want to think about as you're running a company if you're a first-time founder. And then the third one, which I think is where we really bring a lot of value is capital strategy. So what are the milestones needed to achieve the A? And a day after pre-seed, what are those? And then how do we work backwards from there? So what are the milestones to achieve the next financing round? And then how do we work to achieve those? And obviously, as the company grows, our hands-on approach or need is decreasing because new investors are coming in. And but like Jeff likes to say, like they still call us, even, we have companies at the C and they still call us for advice because I think they trust us.
That validates how valuable it is to be working with you. One of the companies that I thought was going to be like our unicorn turned out not to be. So we learned a lot during that. But one of the big takeaways for me, and we've sort of tried to change internally how we operate, is how much time we spend with other co-investors, comparing notes, talking through, even getting on calls with them and founding team, things like that.
100%.
So you're right, there's a lot we do individually with them, but then for me, there was this aha of like, wow, we might have caught some things if we were comparing notes, because the conversations could look very different, that you're having with the founder that we're having with the founder.
100%, which is why we're very big proponent on making sure, even at the pre-seed and seed, that we have board or pseudo boards so that all of the investors can come together and all be on the same page. And I think if we look at our companies that have been successful, it's those where we had good relationships with the other co-investors on the board, because we were able to navigate tricky situations together in alignment and fast. So I think, to your point, it's crucial.
Yeah. So a pet peeve of mine is when founders say, if I had this money, I would hire this team. And I always am like, I'm not in the HR business. Like, I don't want to be the world's biggest employer. Like,
yeah.
And so I try to explain to them that instead of phrasing it as, I need the money to make these hires, tell me like how the money and then the hires will get the business goals that you had on page like 4 of your deck. And some entrepreneurs can't make that leap. And so it's like one of my pet peeves. Do you have any pet peeves?
I do. And I do want to say something about what you said. We just had actually a founder where we really liked what they were building. We kind of progressed with due diligence. And as part of due diligence, we do look at financial modeling and sales pipeline, et cetera. And they kept coming back to, I'm just going to hire I'm going to hire this person and they're going to solve this problem for me. And it goes down to not just you don't want to be the HR person. It's also like unfounded assumptions or the hopes that the answer is right there. If I'll spend $300K on it, that's going to be the answer. As opposed to saying, no, unfortunately, it's going to have to be you doing all these sales. And no one that you hire for $300K is actually going to solve this problem. So totally resonate with that. One of my pet peeves is less so in the process of going through due diligence, but more, unfounded assumptions, definitely. Or we can do, if we can just do 2% of the whole market, we will win. And I'm like, no, this is not how we need to think. Show me how bottom up we're gonna get there. What's our execution? But a pet peeve of mine is more in the pre getting to us process.
and then let's, figure out how we, ask me how we can connect later. But like, yeah, if you like turn your back on the other two people that are, kind of joining the social circle, I remember stuff like that.
And also, I know we're trying to kind of maximize our time and be efficient with our time, but we also have to be intentional. Like I keep coming back to being intentional, and sometimes I can see people, they might start a conversation and they realize, like this is not an investor, so they don't want to spend more time, but I'm the investor standing right there, and they figure it out, and then they're just moving on to the next one. And I was like, this is, so I think there's something to be said about just being intentional and respectful, because I see it similar to you, and that will definitely affect how I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, so we're coming up to our time. You've got a busy day, and I promise I would let you get back to a busy, fabulous day. Last couple thoughts, or questions rather. Who, and if you don't know now, come back to me, but who do you think we should have on this show next?
Ooh, well, first of all, if we're talking about Always, do you know Ita from Gingerbread?
I do.
Has she been on the podcast?
She has not.
Well,
okay, we got to correct that.
We got to correct
that. Huge oversight. Ita would be amazing to have on.
And she was the co-chair committee who organized the whole programming. She has her full-time job, and she was also co-chaired the committee to the Always conference. Ida, if you're listening, you did a fantastic job. Massive fan of hers.
Take your flowers, Ida. Oh, I did not know she was doing that. Oh, that's fabulous. She's fabulous. Okay, so I love that.
Invite her.
We will definitely invite her on the show for sure. Okay, last question. Anything you're reading, watching, or listening to? It doesn't have to be VC related.
Interesting. I just picked up a book that was recommended in a conference, which is called Thinking in Bets, which is all about how I am a massive geek of behavioral economics and like how our brain thinks and decision-making processes. So this is a book about how to think in bets. It was written by an poker game. It's a woman. I try to read books written by women.
So it's
only.
A female poker player.
It's a female poker player who was on her way to become in academics and had her PhD, but somehow life led her to that, and she's taking what she's learned in academia plus her 12 years of being a champion in poker into thinking in bets. And it's kind of like, how do we improve our decision-making process regardless of the results? Because whether the company succeeds or not in venture, what I'm trying to figure out is my decision-making process to getting there, will I have made the same decision regardless of the result?
Oh my God, I got to read this. Oh, no, not only do I have to read it, I'm going to get it for my entire team.
Yay! So that's one that I'm now reading.
That sounds so cool. Okay, I have to get that. All right. Well, I don't have a poker face. So it probably shows that I'm so excited that you were here and we got some time to hang out together.
I'm girl fanning you, Gayle. I've been following you for a while. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely.
This episode of VCs Off the Record is brought to you by Wocstar Ghetto Film School Entrepreneurial Academy.
All right. Now, I said you were going to love her.
Yeah.
Did you not love her?
Yeah, and I took notes, as I always do. Okay, so what I loved is that gap in the marketing the gap, and I was like, I'm still going to have to unpack that. But I remember hearing one time somebody say, and I want to know if this is the same thing, don't make a product solve the problem. Is that the same thing?
Yeah, that could be, because I think what they're saying is understand the problem and solve the problem, be it a product, a service, right? As opposed to trying to build it and think that they will come.
Right. Because you'll always say to me, I'm like, is this thing a good thing? And you'll say, is it scalable? Is it this? Is this? I was like, I don't know. I don't know.
Sounded cool.
Yeah. There's just so many things to think about. What do you think?
But you know what? Here's something. You don't have to know. You just have to have real confidence that they know and they know how to execute.
So when you say you don't have to know, you mean the investor doesn't have to know.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we know a lot about a lot of things, but we're also depending on that founder and that founding team to really know how they're going to execute, that they know their customers, right? That they're in dialogue with their community, that they know how to defend market share. That's the thing I listen for the most. Can they defend market share? It's neat to come up with a shiny new toy, and it'll be popular for a minute because it's new and it's shiny, and people are gonna, look, because that's what we do when we see shiny things. But when competition comes and the big guys come, can you defend market share and retain those customers?
And defend means having something proprietary, or defend means having a relationship with customers that is solid, or does it mean all of those things?
It means all of those things. So is what you have sticky enough that I won't switch to someone else? Defend means, am I pricing it at a point where I'm going to stay and continue to be loyal? Defend means, is it unique enough that says, yeah, I see that version, but this is unique. This has the features that I need, so I'm not going to switch. All of those things are defense. Is your marketing, helping you to defend, get to more customers, retain the customers that you have?
Yeah. What did you take away from the whole conversation?
So I loved when she talked about being at a conference and someone corners you and tries to pitch you. I mean, I get where we're coming from. We all want to we're so excited to meet someone and we want to just tell them all about what we're doing. But I love that she pointed that out as a pet peeve, because I think we too often try to pitch in the wrong moments as opposed to just making some human connection. And leave people curious to want to connect with you again.
Make it an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, did I leave with them wanting to be yeah, let's grab coffee? Yeah. I had that happen recently. I was at a networking event with a bunch of individual investors, not funds, but just guys that invest. And I just got chatting to one, and he was like, hey, let's grab coffee. And I was like, let's do it. We were just talking about so many cool technologies and deals that we see. And so that was a moment of just I left it where we wanted to continue the conversation. That's how we should all be thinking. That's how founders, we should all be thinking that way, but that's how founders should be thinking when they're in those quote unquote networking convening sessions. Don't pitch.
Read the room. Read
the room, Timmy. Yeah. So yes, go in, connect, not pitch.
Yeah. I remember we were at the Black Women Talk Tech conference, and
love them.
Yeah, fantastic. That was a fantastic conference.
Oh, they're the two co-founders of that.
And fantastic. We had a table, and you had spoken, and then you had bees all around the honey hive, just really wanting to get your attention. And I remember one gentleman walked up to the table and just attempted to dominate and attempted to just kept. And I actually was doing something, and I stopped and watched because I was like, this is fascinating. Yeah. And I was.
It's not serving you well, sir.
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 Sir. Bruh. But what was fascinating is I didn't know if this is why he will eventually get funding or why he may not get funding here with you. But it was persistent, and you were giving clues. You were dropping the...
I don't have a poker face. We talked about poker today. I don't have one. So I was giving clues It
was fascinating, though.
Bruh.
Somebody
but
who doesn't...
that's not reading the room, right?
Yeah, I know.
But it's interesting because you're right, because is it persistence, which we say, we say a lot about you got to have the follow-up because so many people leave money on the table because they don't follow up. But is there persistence and there's just pain in the ass? They both start with a P, right? So which is it?
Right. Persistence, a little bit of delusion, and just hubris.
And just not reading the room.
Yeah. At the Black Women Talk Tech. He didn't read the room.
Read the room, bruh. All righty. Well, listen, I am so glad you were with me today. More to come. We've got a great season. Have you just sat back and checked out our guest list? It's pretty
not only have I sat back...
you put it together, so yes, you do know this.
I wasn't going to say it, but that's okay. I was like, I kind of know.
Kind of know. Got an inkling.
Then I kind of watch it 3-4 times as we edit. All right. See you soon.
All righty. Take care.
Thanks for hanging with us. This podcast was produced by Wocstar Media in New York City at the Podstream Studios. Be sure to follow VCs Off the Record on Apple and Spotify. We're also on Sheconomy, the State of Women podcast platform. Please consider giving us a good review or share it with someone. Let us know what you want us to talk about on our socials and our YouTube channel. You can find us at wocstar.com for all the information.